Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 3735 23rd Avenue here in Forest Grove. Located at the front of the home here, we are just to the right of the doorway. We have a 3-inch cast iron cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We currently have water running. We're going to zero out the foot counter right at the bottom of the cleanout here. Alright, we're going to try and go through the rooftop here. Unfortunately, this clean out, just inside of it, we get a really bad view of it because the camera's underwater. But you've got about a 3/4 inch offset joint here just inside the clean out access. So we're going to see if we can hop over the top of it going through the roof vent, hopefully. So we're just a little bit further down line. We probably have enough oomph to get over it, but it's just so close it just stops the camera immediately. Moved up to the rooftop here. Hopefully have some better luck. Zero the foot counter out down here at the bottom of the vent stack, and then we're going to keep this camera moving as quick as possible here to get through any twists and turns in the crawl space. Hoping this will let us pop over that offset joint here on the outside. Alright, I think we just hopped over it there. And we'll take another look at that as we come back. Making a transition here over to concrete pipe that appears to be 4-inch diameter concrete. And then there's the main lateral connection at about 83 feet out from the vent point of access. Now we're going to go turn the water off. We're also going to go locate the terminus here just to verify where the line goes. We'll have a better look at everything as we come back. Alright, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates at the main out here on 23rd. The line here is just about done draining out. There's a little bit of water trickling through still, but not enough to block our view of anything. That little item there just looks like some debris that went down the line. A little white stick looking thing. To the very end of the line. It's not a concerning thing to begin with. This joint here appears there's kind of a line coming off the top there. That doesn't appear to be dangling straight down. Almost, it's hard to tell. It may be sticking straight down. It may be going across the top of the pipe. That joint there, though, appears to have dirt coming through it, and technically is compromised. Now, it's not something that is affecting functionality, at least as far as flow goes. Anytime I have a joint, though, that's technically speaking open to the ground, this is more so an issue when you have heavy water saturation in the ground around the pipe, which creates hydraulic pressure and then can force things through the joint. So I do have to recommend a repair on this, but just so you understand, this is not something that's affecting flow, at least not at this point. It can over time. It takes a long time in most cases, and sometimes it never ever causes an issue to begin with. But if they pull enough groundwater and dirt, it can cause hydro erosion and cause the line to settle. All right, I've marked this area here in the roadway. I also marked the main with a white T, but there's an X marking over this spot. It's a very, very shallow sewer line. It's only 3 foot 3 inches deep, which, I mean, as far as sewer lines go, most lines exit the foundation of homes at about that depth, so it's very, very shallow. Another joint there where it looks like dirt's coming through. And it's more than likely we're going to see a lot of that. Yeah, another one there. That one also just in front of us has dirt coming through too. They probably all do. That one does as well. Which is not a terribly uncommon thing in old concrete pipe. And it looks like we still have some water trickling through the line there. That is not standing water. That stuff is still moving. That one there shows some separation at the top. I don't see as much junk coming out of it. The transition here almost looks flush. This might be 4-inch cast iron. It might have belled out at some point, because that's a flush transition. There's no diameter difference there, it looks like, between those two pieces of pipe. Alright, I put a T marking down here at the start of the concrete. This is in the driveway area under concrete. There's a car right next to where I'm trying to locate there. A little hard to get right on top of that spot. Got an earthworm in the pipe joint right outside of it there on the top left-hand corner of the screen, which tells me those joints are open. That's kind of your best evidence that the joint is truly open to the ground. And you do have some scale buildup here in the flow line. I haven't seen much debris buildup associated with it. When it comes to scale and cast iron, it's something that naturally occurs over time. You will get rust flakes that develop. Some lines do it worse than others. Descaling cast iron is kind of a tricky process. Knocking the rust loose is not the hard part. It's getting all the rust out of the sewer line. That's the trickier situation, and you can sometimes end up with a worse scenario than you had originally. We've got some fairly thick scale buildup in the flow line, especially spots like right here. And the concern there is as rough and jagged as that stuff is, it tends to snag debris, especially when other items like paper towels and tampons and stuff go down the line. Those shouldn't go down the line, but when they get into this kind of stuff, they get stuck very easily and then don't break down on their own. And you've got some, it almost looks like your line is troughing in some spots here, which is an indicator the cast iron is wearing out. You can see this trough right here that's forming in the pipe. And a lot of that may be scale. It's hard to tell until the scale is actually removed from the pipe. That's when you get your best view of the cast iron and whether or not it's pitted. But that's what stopped us up originally there, was that it's not even a very, it's a fairly minor offset. It's only about a 1/4 inch. It almost looks like there's something sitting in the line right here. I can't tell, or on the edge of that cast iron, what that thing is. But anyway, that's a pretty good view there as to the thickness of that scale buildup, and it's concerning. It's a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch thick in many places here. I don't have a lot of buildup, but once I see enough scale in a sewer line, I either recommend you descale the line or look into just simply updating it. The descaling can be a fairly expensive process to do it properly and get everything out of the sewer line. And sometimes after you're done doing that, you go back to rescope it and the cast iron's just pitted. And it kind of tells you that the line is nearing the end of its lifespan, and descaling will reduce some of the lifespan of the cast iron just in that process alone. The line is fairly clean, So at this, what I'm going to recommend here is descaling the cast iron and rescoping to see the condition of it. It's going to smooth the line out quite a bit. You don't have all the rough and jagged bumpy areas there. But it is still functioning. There's not a lot of buildup in there, but once I have a large enough amount of scale buildup in the sewer line, even if there's no debris buildup, same thing with bellies. Once bellies get bad enough, even if they're not showing tons and tons of debris buildup, they have the potential for it. So what I recommend is a descale and a rescope. One, I mean, the most important thing is to make sure that there's not a 2-inch thick piles of scale buildup in the flow line. They're going to cause a much worse problem than you already have. So just know that. And if you don't do any repairs or anything on it, I would rescope the line every so often, every couple of years, to keep an eye on things. At this time, though, we have adequate flow to the main lateral connection. The cast iron and concrete both I would call in fair condition. They're both showing plenty of wear and age. All the joints in the concrete pipe, that spot I do have to recommend updates on. And to be honest with you, the concrete section there is something that I would probably look into doing an epoxy liner on. Almost actually 100% of the concrete is under either a driveway or street. And based on the diameter change of the concrete, it looks like you've got a 4-inch pipe here. So if you're going to do a liner, ideally line the entirety of the sewer line, both the cast iron and the concrete, and just update it all at one time. At this point, I'm not seeing buildup and stuff or compromised joints in the cast iron, so I'm somewhat hesitant to recommend fully updating it. It's just a much cheaper situation to do it all at once rather than in parts and pieces. The concrete pipe, though, I do have to recommend updating. We have compromised joints at every pipe joint with dirt coming through them, and then heavy scale buildup in the cast iron. So it's kind of up to you to see what it looks like on the other side, or just simply update it. But there's enough scale buildup in there. I'm going to recommend one of those two options. Ideally, I'd like to see it all updated at this point, but it is still functioning, and the line is clean and clear of any major debris buildup. So it is functioning properly at this, or it's functioning at this time. It's not functioning properly due to the scale. That's going to hinder flow, but it is functioning. So again, if you don't do any repairs on it, I would recommend rescoping about every couple years to keep an eye on the sewer line.